And without further ado, let's go right ahead and get into this next segment as Japan scores a bucket to take the lead 78-77. So basically, this game, I should say these games, my bad, I'm thinking this is the fourth segment already. But aside from that, these games, they were rather close. I'll definitely say that. They were definitely a lot closer than what you would expect. Like, let's say, for example, a USA blowout would be. Like, you wouldn't. When other national teams are going up against other national teams, the skill is roughly more or less going to be the same, more or less. Again, it happens sometimes where it's like the talent is just overwhelmingly much or significantly better than another foreign country, but most of the times that's not really the case, especially between Canada and Australia. Now, between all of the national teams, both of these rosters are almost loaded with NBA talent. Like, a majority of these players have either had NBA experience or are in the NBA currently right now. Then they're arguably the two best teams in the Group A stages. Arguably. Again, it's not, that's still up for debate now because of just how the standings work and things like that. But for the most part, they're rather competitive. And if there was any other team that wasn't the French team that I thought could beat the United States, it would be either one of these teams down here that would have arguably, the best chances of beating them. And that's really saying something, because remember, this team is composed of just so much NBA talent that it's you'd have to be a very talented team just to just to be able to knock out Team USA. So with this score right here, it's 93-83. So therefore, the standings in the Group A are looking like first place Canada. They now have a point differential of 17, and for Australia, they moved to 1-1, which I believe is going to be ranked second still, because despite losing by 10, they still have a +2 point differential. And then the other game that ended up happening before the Canada against Australia game happened was Spain and Greece. Now, Spain ended up winning 84-77, which would mean that Greece is now all the way at the bottom of the Group A standings, and they have a minus, let me just do quick math real quick. They have a -14 in terms in point differential. And the Spanish team, they still have a minus in point differential, but it's not as much as -12 as they had previously. So they're still at the bottom of the Group A stages. Meanwhile, Australia and Japan are in the top two phases of the group stage. Now, that's just a little analysis of what's been going on. And one of the better players in this game between Spain and Greece was Giannis Antetokounmpo. Again, just a phenomenal athlete. 27 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists. Now, this Greek team is more and more so looking like the Serbian team, where it's you can't really do anything without having Giannis on the court. I mean, the amount of scoring divided amongst the Greek starters, it's not all that much. It was really Giannis doing all of the work, and even then, even with his ridiculous 27 points on 70% shooting from the field, that wasn't enough. And it just goes to show you just the talent that the Spanish roster has, and how much the lack of and how little talent the Greek team actually has. Because other than Giannis Antetokounmpo scoring 27, the only other player that scored in double digits was Vasilis Toliopoulos. Again, forgive me if I completely botched that name. But some of the other players, for example, Nick Calathes, he played 32 minutes and he was only scoring 8 points on 3 for 12 shooting. That is not ideal, and that is not really going to end up, helping this Greek national team. It's just not. And it's not really looking good for them, because not only are they all the way at the bottom of the of the standings, but their point differential is like it's really starting to lack as well because they keep losing these games in they didn't lose the game in a blowout, but they keep losing these games by significant amount of points. It's not really the same as losing by maybe like 2 or losing by 1 because like if you lose by 1, then your point differential doesn't really drop all that much. But losing by several or so points, and then that's where stuff really hits the fan. And speaking of stuff hitting the fan, right now the French team is down 77-78 with 1 minute and 50 seconds left. So I'll let you guys know just like, the results of this game. Victor Wembanyama's he's been doing Victor Wembanyama things, but the rest of the team is sort of not really helping him. Like at least from what I've seen. I haven't really been able to check the box scores because I've been doing this, but I'm going to do that right now. Let's see. So right now Victor has 10 points. Evan Fournier has 11. Matthew Strazel also has 11. But obviously Victor isn't trying to, take up all of the spotlight. It's ridiculous how he's not trying to, but he is still playing, hyper efficient, and he's still getting his rebounds. He's actually getting a lot more assists than I would expect him to, and he has a much higher efficiency rating than what you would usually expect. Now, between the the Canada and the Australian game, the best player for the team and for the game was arguably R.J. Barrett. He ended the game with 24 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists to help solidify Canada as the best team in the Group A standings. So right now they're in first place, as I mentioned before. And obviously, aside from R.J. Barrett being, a scoring monster with 24 points, SGA ended up getting 16 points on 8 for 10 shooting, and Dylan Brooks also ended up getting 16 points on 5 for 9 shooting. And unfortunately, not all the NBA players, obviously, they're not all going to play great at the same time. Jamal Murray still seems to be trying to figure it out because he only ended the game with 5 points on 2 for 7 from the field, so still has to figure some things out over there. And Jock Landale for the Australian team ended up getting 16 points, 7 for 10 shooting from the field. And Josh Giddey, he also ended up getting 19 points, 7 of 14 shooting from the field, but it wasn't enough to beat the Canadian team with all of the scoring prowess that they have. It's a little bit off, it's a little bit weird seeing SGA put up a stat line where he doesn't score 30-something points. But, that's usually what happens. And right now, Nicholas Batum is sitting on the bench because he is bleeding. Okay, that is definitely something that's going to be worth talking about later. Right now, Japan has the ball 78-77, and someone just laid the ball up over Victor. That is very scary. There have been several players who just refuse to lay the ball up right in front of Victor when Victor's in front of him, and now Victor has Rudy Gobert to help out with him as well. So that was a very important shot that he needed to make, and Evan Fournier just hit another very important shot to tie the game with being 80-80. And honestly, those were all the games that ended up happening while most of you people were probably asleep. There is another game after this French and Japan basketball game that's going to happen between Brazil and Germany. They're going to play later at 3 o'clock, I believe. So that's when the next game is going to go down. But so far, this is a very, very competitive game between France and Japan, and it's tied up 80 with 47 seconds left to go. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end off, and stop talking about this segment right now. And then in the second segment, I'm going to go ahead and talk about some of the Olympic athletes that have NBA experience or that were in the NBA, because that was a topic of conversation early in the Olympics that I didn't really get to address, but I would like to right now. So I will be right back after this short break, so be sure to stay tuned. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh,
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the